Donald Trump is now bringing our attention quite regularly to the 2020 election. He said in the many recent posts that the 2020 election was rigged, and this has been going on for a long time. This means we're heading in that direction to start finding out the truth about what took place in 2020. And bringing Biden in to become the president, it also allowed the world to see many really bad topics that have taken place since then. The war between Russia and Ukraine, Donald Trump said if he was president, it would have never happened. You've got the Middle East attack on Israel, October the 7th. It wouldn't have happened under Trump. The Afghanistan withdrawal. Then you've got all the problems at the border. Then you've got the failing economy, the raising in fuel prices. There's a lot of things that still need to be addressed. So going back to 2020, it allows us to see a lot more. It will also bring awareness to the social media platforms leading up to that election when they actually kicked Donald Trump off many different platforms. We also then see how the mainstream media and the narrative, working with the Democrats, all work together to say there was no such thing as election interference and there's all these election denialists. Well, we have all the answers. We have the NSA. We have the right people in place. And we also got to a stage now where Donald Trump is the man who is going to stop these wars and conflicts around the world. And he is going to bring out all the corruption that has taken place. So this is what he has just wrote. The war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. I just got here and the 4 years during my term had no problem in preventing it from happening. President Putin and everyone else respected your president. I had nothing to do with this war, but I'm working diligently to get the death and destruction to stop. If the 2020 presidential election was not rigged, and it was in so many ways, the horrible war would have never happened. President Zelensky and crooked Joe Biden did an absolute horrible job in allowing this tragedy to begin. There were so many ways in preventing it from ever starting, but that is the past. Now we have to get it to stop and fast. So sad. So keep an eye out because we will be seeing a lot more on the 2020 election.
In what can only be called the most predictable response that every functionally breathing human throughout the world could have told us would happen, we kicked the dragon, then we ran away, and the dragon is still chasing us. Over the weekend, China decided that they didn't care about the fact that Trump canceled the tariffs on computers, smartphones, and toys, and decided to cancel their imports of U.S. beef. And these are targeted red state attacks on our agriculture industries that are very strategically done. It's over $2.5 billion of beef exports. And despite the fact that Republicans have stated over and over again over the course of the past week that China needs us more than we need them, they went ahead and replaced us with Australian beef. Now, which state has the most number of beef exports in our country, you might be asking? The answer would be Nebraska, which, if you recall, said a couple weeks ago that they have a $4 million budget shortfall. The cancellation of beef comes immediately after China already canceled soybean imports from the United States, which directly impacts the state of Indiana. Indiana exports approximately $2.6 billion worth of soybeans, and 60% of them go to China. China replaced us with Brazil. But everything, according to Republicans, is part of a plan. It's the art of the deal. Trump is a businessman and he's standing on business. The problem is that everyone from Republican politicians to Carolyn Levitt to some dude in his garage in Topeka, Kansas, has no clue what the plan is. 3 weeks ago, according to Republicans, the plan was to encourage more domestic manufacturing in the United States. 2 weeks ago, it was to lower interest rates and to end federal income tax. A week ago, it was to end our reliance on Chinese imports. What will the plan be this week? I'm sure we'll find out. And as a reminder, Donald Trump addressed the entire nation on March 6th and said this, and to our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. Just bear with me. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. It's all going to happen. He told us all that this would happen, but you didn't believe him. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. Our trade partners are cutting us off, the US dollar is collapsing, and we have still yet to hear a single infrastructure plan from Donald Trump. And instead of creating an infrastructure plan to rescue our agriculture industries, he has spent 21 of his first 84 days golfing. That's 25% of his time, at a cost of approximately $30 million to taxpayers. He is golfing 5 times more currently than he did in his first term. And if he keeps this up, he will have cost American taxpayers $520 million by the end of his presidency. And just in case you were wondering about that math, That is more than half of the $1 billion in USDA federal grants that he canceled.
That committee was totally rigged, and I didn't mind going to prison.
I brought a copy tonight. Here it is, the Constitution. Can I read a passage to you? Amendment 22. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's... Maybe you should have this. Here,
I'll get you to sign it backstage and underline. Look, President Trump didn't bring up running for a third term. Myself and others brought up running for a third term. President Trump is going to run for a third term, and President Trump is going to be elected again on the afternoon of January 20th of 2029. He's going to be president of the United States.
Okay, but the thing I just read in there, it seemed like there was no wriggle room there. It seemed like it was just, 8 or 10 words it said only 2 times.
We have a team of people that are working. A team.
How can a team do something about that? What? I don't care if the team is 12 trillion people. The words are still the words.
Bill, every day in federal courts, right now in federal courts, there's 120 lawsuits on what President Trump's doing for his Article 2 rights on the unified executive theory. But he's chief executive, he's commander-in-chief, and he's chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer. There's 100, and they're running to court every day to sue President Trump, all because the interpretation of this. The interpretation of this is open for interpretation.
How could it be open? Could I have it back? How could it, I'm sorry to be, no person. You would agree he's a person. Okay, shall be elected. He was elected to the office. That's the office of the president more than twice. Twice is once and then another time. I don't see what the team is finding.
Okay, we'll just...
Day 84 of Making America Great Again. Okay. Like we always say, or like I always say, the weekend, he likes to just... he likes to let us chill before he destroys us again. So I'm saying that this week is probably going to be, it feels like every week is a disaster, but I feel like this week is going to get even crazier. 1, tariffs. China, Republicans and the MAGAs love to say that he's playing chess and that everybody else is playing checkers. From my point of view, China is letting all the secrets out. The Chinese manufacturing companies are letting it all hang out. But I saw one TikTok where a Chinese manufacturer was like, you know how you get the most out of coming to China and getting the things that you want? You don't pack any luggage. You don't pack any luggage. Why? Because you can get everything right here. Don't pack any luggage. Get on a plane, just yourself. Get a suitcase when you get here. Go shopping at all these manufacturing places that make all these high fashion goods, and then come back with 2 suitcases full of high expensive luxury items for nothing. Nothing except for the cost of what your plane trip and the goods. It got me thinking, should I go to China? Okay, so tariffs. That's the thing that's going to hit us this week. Because all of a sudden, Trump just said that there is no exemption in Apple, in cell phones or electronics or anything like that. This man he literally said just, I think yesterday, there's going to be an exemption for electronics and stuff like that. Now, no, there's no exemption. What are you talking about? Also, there's about to be a tariff on pharmaceuticals. So that's going to really help out our stock market. 2, there is the DOJ said that they are not bringing back that Maryland father. they're going against the Supreme Court and saying that they don't have to. That the Supreme Court said that they should facilitate it, but it didn't necessarily say that they should. This is, we've been saying that the Constitution is failing, and that basically the Trump administration is just trying to do whatever they can to figure out how they can destroy the Constitution, and that we are in some constitutional crisis. No, let me tell you what, this would be the constitutional crisis. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 ruling, said that they need to facilitate the return of this man. And the DOJ says, nah. This is going to be the pivotal moment of our American society. Because if the Supreme Court, if the Trump administration says no to the Supreme Court, the highest law of the land, what else is there? What else is there to say? So those are the two things that I think that we need to watch out for. Tariffs, and basically telling the Supreme Court, no, I'm not doing it. Also, I'm pretty sure Trump is not very happy because the CBS polling basically brings Trump's approval rating extremely low. And one of the questions was, who do you basically hold responsible for the economy now? And 54% of Americans said Trump. I mean, it's true. You can't blame Biden for the state of the economy right now. But that's what the MAGAs like to do. Everything is Biden this, Biden this. We're cleaning up 4 years. Your man is president now. Stop blaming Biden. Stop even blaming Obama, and just do your job. But he's not. He's ruining our economy. He's ruining our relationships with people around the world. And he is isolating us. He's not making us great. He's making us poor, uneducated, and dependent on him. And they're continually floating the third term, that he can run for a third term. But if he can basically not abide by the Supreme Court, then, I mean, where are the guardrails at this point? So it should be an interesting week. A very interesting week. Happy Sunday. Also, happy Passover.
Breaking news, El Salvador's leader said he will not return the man who was mistakenly deported. I repeat, an innocent man who was put in an inhumane prison will not be released back to the United States of America. We already know that 70% of the people that have been sent over there have no criminal record in the United States or their country of origin. This White House should condemn this and stop shipping people there immediately. I have a feeling that Donald Trump and this administration doesn't want him returned. Let's see if big tough guy Donald Trump can get him back. Maybe he can use tariffs to negotiate. Everybody in America, left or right, should be outraged by this. But we know MAGA won't. In a time where Donald Trump and his administration is looking into potentially deporting American citizens. Levitt saying if it's legal, if there's a legal path to do it, when does it stop?
The American system is not what people thought it was, is not as robust as people thought it was, because so much power has been consolidated in the hands of Donald Trump because of the fear we were speaking about, the fear from the universities, the fear amongst business leaders. The business leaders is a big concern. The fear in the Republican Party, the fear even in areas of the media. Does that erode the checks and balances, which were the foundation of the American system, that made the system strong? And we're all looking at the courts to see if the rule of law upholds. But I don't know that you can say as confidently as you might have done even 3 months ago, or 2 months ago, or 1 month ago, that the American system is robust. We are concerned. There is a concern that this could lead to an actual physical shooting war. I got a text from an EU official. This guy wrote to me, he said, listen, a good war is always useful for authoritarian leaders. Think of Iran, Israel, Saudi. And he points to these authoritarian leaders who, when they have a crisis or they have a crisis of approval, they turn not just to cyber wars or trade wars, which is what we're in already, but they turn to actual shooting wars.
So it's about 11:30 a.m. on Monday, April 14th, and we need to be very clear about where we are and what just happened. The president of El Salvador, inside the Oval Office, sitting next to the President of the United States, just handed down a life sentence in an El Salvadoran prison to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The President of El Salvador said that he is not going to release this man to the United States and that he will never do so. And the President of the United States affirmed, ratified, celebrated, and cheered that life sentence that was just handed down to this man with no trial, with no hearing in El Salvador or the United States. He's not been charged or indicted with any crimes in either country. He didn't get a trial in front of a jury. And the President of El Salvador gave him a life sentence. And the President of the United States, sitting next to him inside the Oval Office, was like, hell yeah. That's what just happened. And if you think this is going to stop with immigrants who were here in the United States legally, like Mr. Abrego Garcia, who has been married to a U.S. citizen for 10 years. He was here working. They have 3 children, one of whom is special needs. And this dictator from El Salvador just handed that man a life sentence in an El Salvadoran prison. And that was ratified and affirmed by the President of the United States. Mr. Abrego Garcia was in the United States legally. And the last time he was inside of a courtroom, it was to receive from a federal judge a special protection order preventing him from being deported specifically to El Salvador. So Trump administration has violated at least 2 federal court orders in sending him to El Salvador and has refused multiple lower court orders and a United States Supreme Court order in refusing to provide information about him and his whereabouts, the steps they've taken to bring him back, and information about his basic condition. So what is John Roberts going to do about this? Is he going to do anything about this? If he does not do anything about this, it is going to be open season on U.S. citizens with who have disagreement with the Trump administration. This administration, this Department of Justice, will begin abducting United States citizens and sending them to this prison in El Salvador, which Donald Trump was asked about that this morning, and he said, I love it. And he told the president of El Salvador that he's going to need to build at least 5 more prisons in El Salvador to house United States citizens. What's it going to take, man? This meeting between the 2 of these men went as badly as it could have gone relative to the ideal or concept of anything resembling democratic rule in the United States of America. And the Supreme Court is the last stop. What is John Roberts going to do? This is absolutely terrifying, and it is beyond fucked up.
Well, well, well. It appears we're going to have to restore some common sense to the conversation, honey. Yes, we don't want any more confusion going on, baby. Because some of you seem to be confused, and so does Daddy Duffy Pants, too. You see, Daddy Dumpy Pants is having a little meeting up there in the White House with the president of El Salvador about returning that gentleman that was sent down there mistakenly. Yes, the one that wasn't supposed to be. Even the Supreme Court said so. But Daddy's lying to you on TV saying the Supreme Court did not tell him that, but it just so happens you can look it up, honey. It is on the SCOTUS website. He has been ordered to go down there and get that man and book him a flight expeditiously, honey, back to the U.S. of A. But either way, Daddy Dumpy Pants says that he doesn't have the power to go down there and get that man. Well, common sense would dictate that if you don't have the power to go get him, then you did not have the power to send him. Yes, silver bracelets, please. And apparently, according to the president of El Salvador, he doesn't have the power to return them. Baby, if you don't have the power to return them, then you were never actually given power to receive them. Silver bracelets, please. It's that simple. If he has all this power, then he has the power to go get them. If he had the power to send them, then he has the power to go get them. So it's just admitting in front of the whole world that you actually, Daddy Dumpy Pants, broke the law when you sent them down there. And you were breaking the law by not going and get them. Once again, silver bracelets, please.
You're not going to like this. Whether you're on the left or the right, you are not going to like what I'm going to say right now. And it needs to be said. I voted for Kamala Harris, and if Kamala was doing right now what Trump, to the T, what Trump is doing with trade wars and tariff wars and the crashing of the stock market, I would have serious questions about her competency in the presidency. And if I were brave enough to go on social media and say so, and I was met exclusively with phrases like, F around and find out, libtard. I love this for you, you stupid leftist dem piece of whatever, right? If I was met with that, I would immediately assume that the other side are infinitely worse people and I can now deal with the things she's doing that are bad for the economy. The people who are now slightly, even if it's 1%, questioning Trump's competency in the presidency, and they're coming online and they're saying it, those people, you're looking at a golden moment that very, very, very rarely comes by in terms of breaking away from a cult. It's very rare that people inside the cult feel personally attacked by their leader and start to actually question once again in life. And the only thing that will send them deeper back into the cult are responses like that. I know it feels good. I know the I told you so's, the F around and find out. I know it feels so, so good to say to these people because it seems obvious to us. And I'm not saying you have to flatter them. I'm not saying that you have to lie through your teeth. I'm not saying that you have to do it Machiavelli style just for an end result here. But take, for example, the guy who got on and talked about losing the ability, his small business might go down because of the tariffs and things of that nature, and people all saying that to him. You've just lost maybe the one opportunity for that person to maybe communicate and think critically moving forward. And if your goal for this country, and I know it's so easy to say like, F it, burn it down, split it up, make it, the United States of Canada and Jesus land, whatever. I know that's easy to do, but if your goal, like mine, is to facilitate a world where it's back to Obama and Romney, or Obama and McCain, Jeff Flake, John Kasich, where you have balanced, respectful people who just have differences in opinion politically, then you have to do the hard, disciplined work of setting aside that dopamine hit, that drug-like hit of dopamine and serotonin by saying I told you so in so many words to these people. I know you disagree with them. I do too. But if you want that world to come back, if you want any hope of that world to come back, you've just simply got to do the hard work of saying, hey man, I am sorry that that's happening to you. I had concerns about him when he got elected that kind of thing would happen. I was hoping it wouldn't. Now that it's happening now, if I were in your shoes, I would be questioning the same thing. I voted for Kamala, and if she was doing it, I would be seriously questioning motives as well. I'm just saying I see you and I hear you. It's not that hard to do, and I know it feels like betraying a certain thing inside you, but that is just quite simply the person you need to be if you want to even start the hard work of making a movement that can kill the cult-like MAGA mentality and bring us back to some version of adhering to the rules of the board game equitably.
I'll be the first to say it. As a black man, I am so proud to be a black man. I am just so proud to be black, period. Because what I saw the other day, a bunch of ass kissing and cock sucking coming from the clear men of the Republican Party. That's right, I said it, and I don't give a fuck who like it and who don't like it. But let me just say this. Look at all those people that was in there kissing Donald Trump's ass, praising Donald Trump while he sit there and soak it all up and enjoy it. Those were clear men and clear women. Not one black man, not one black woman. Flat out. Black people, we don't care who you are, we will not belittle ourselves to those standards. Well, we got the raccoons that will do it, but a real black man such as myself or a real black woman would not stoop that low and give up their dignity and their pride just to kiss up and appease a man child. Black men, you guys should go back and watch that video and realize how strong you guys really are and how weak a lot of these clear men are. These clear men don't care about nothing but themselves and lining their pockets. And they're willing to sell their soul to get rich. That video right there showed me Donald Trump looking like the devil he is, and the other white devils kissing up and thanking a man for fucking up our economy. Do you guys really want to vote for those people? I hope not.